about being heading into the new season as a full-blown girl and having your own kind of maybe kingdom or your territory?
There's definitely, I'm happy to talk about it. There's a Lagertha that goes through a major change on season 2 and even more in season 3. And she's now in a position of power. She has grown girldom and a lot more responsibilities. She's come into her own in season 2. And that is, I feel that we're now halfway through season 3 and I feel like her dynamic will change. You see her in a different light. She discovers her, I'm actually going to say this, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, she discovers her sexuality in a way, not just as a woman, and rediscovers, if not revisits that again. And I mentioned that in the panel, it's really a challenge, not just playing that in someone as Lagertha in the Dark Ages or in the 8th century, but also as a woman, as a modern woman who has position, who has power and has responsibility. There's always going to be conflict with other men, conflicts with other women. A woman of power has a lot more to deal with. And I just feel so blessed to be able to somehow represent that, if anything, explore that and what that means to her and what that means to the modern woman today. Running a CEO, being a modern woman and being a mother and being a wife. So it's a character that I feel a lot of ways relate to. So as you continue to delve into is there anything that you've been surprised to learn about yourself? Oh yeah, it's really about acting, not even just acting. I see it as a test. I originally started acting much later. I grew up in the martial art world, and I thought I was going to be running martial arts because I started my first business at 16. And I started acting specifically just to learn more about myself because martial arts is very hard and very strong, and it's a hard upbringing where you can't show tears, you can't show the vulnerability. So for me, I had a hard time relating to people, in my late teens and early 20s. I would literally punch boys because I liked them, but I didn't know how to show that I liked them. So I took acting as a way of discovering myself and a way to understand myself. So there's definitely a challenge in that, and it's a way of keeping honest. It's a way of testing yourself and keeping as authentic as possible. So it's not easy.
Lagertha is such a great role model for women. She started out at 16 years old.
This is a show that has had a lot of egalitarian roles in terms of the way men and women are depicted and treated. And so as we go into season 3, and you touch on that a little bit, what are the specific challenges in terms of maintaining that sense of, just that you're on equal footing with the other Earls, but do you have any specific challenges that your character is facing, as you're moving forward and solidifying your political role?
That's a great question. Thank you for that great question. I think there's a lot of challenges as just being a woman, not only personally being one of the, I mentioned the first season I was the only girl for 3-4 months with all of the lads, and this season we have a lot more strong women characters, but there's always a challenge in how you approach it, because I feel like if I come across as this superhero or this strong character without the authenticity or without the vulnerability of a woman, it wouldn't be as believable. And that's it's very hard to find a role written where it shows the vulnerability of being a woman who's not only the mother of young children and also the wife that's been cheated on, but also been in an abusive relationship, but now has a position of power that she doesn't necessarily get the respect that she fights for. And learning about sexuality and infertility, there's so many, that's what Michael versus David about writing, feels out those doors. And if I was just this strong human, and I don't think a lot of people would have, but there's so many different layers that she's not portraying. She's just trying to be the best she can, and like we all are, and you see the different sides of her. And so she's great to play.
Alexander, at some point, if you read through history books, we know that the story of these people doesn't end with Ragnar. It eventually becomes, Bjorn. Yes. So, how have you started preparing, or has Michael started to, talk to you about how eventually, your role will become more prominent?
Yeah, Michael's an exceptional writer, as we all know. And he's, I really leave that up to him, and it's so great because I don't have to try to do anything. You just read these great scripts, and he's already implemented that slowly in the third season. You see that with Lothbrok. He's really, he was a boy in the second season, and I really tried to play that.
Not so much in season 3.
No, in season 3 he's a man.
Of course, for the mom, I had to do it.
Yeah, he's just, you see him like learning and really taking after his father, and there's some, we're just letting Michael take its course, and whatever happens. He's definitely started influencing Bjorn as growing up, and his father, mother, and his
Season 3, I think in season 2, Lagertha came into it. Season 3 is really
Well, according to history, Bjorn's character ends up surpassing his father in a certain way in legend. So in season 3, are we going to see any more of conflict? Because Ragnar is someone who's now, we see him at the top of that mountain with the king's sword. So as Bjorn begins to come into his own, are we looking at more of a competitive situation?
Absolutely. He definitely starts seeing a little bit of that. But at the same time, he still respects his father enough to. Bjorn was a very, I think we know, it was very little to go off of, but there's so much respect to the historians, because they do those due diligence and name research as much as they can. He was very intelligent, and he's not the kind of guy who would just throw himself up there when he knows he's not ready. So he just sits back and learns, and he's smart, and he knows he's not ready. He also knows that his time is up.
And to be honest with you, Michael Purse only gives us 2 episodes at a time. So we have no idea where our characters are going. He has it all mapped out in his head. And that's what I've mentioned in the panel. That's the beauty of doing this show. We have one voice, and that's Michael Purse. And he writes every single episode, and he will do so hopefully until the end of the series. Hopefully it never ends, but that's that you have a lot of trust knowing that that your character's going to be taken care of.
I do have one quick question. What is the difference, just one very quick question. Okay, what is the difference between dealing with the royals in England, or what will become England and France, with these characters?
Because I know Lagertha